Dear children, welcome to the new session of academics. I hope you are doing great with your loved ones. I'm Monica here to discuss grammar with you all. You know children, this year you have a special grammar guidance specially made for you by HBK to make your learning easier and more interesting. So I can guarantee that you will enjoy learning thoroughly. Okay, let's begin. The first chapter in grammar this year is the sentences. I hope you must be having some idea about a sentence. A sentence is a group of words which gives a complete sense. A sentence should start with a capital letter. A sentence should end with a full stop or a question mark or an exclamatory mark. A sentence should have a subject and a predicate. Now, what is a subject? A subject is the word which does the action in a sentence. Or you can say a subject is the word which is responsible for the action in a sentence. For example, if I say Rahul hits the ball. Who hits the ball? Rahul hits the ball. So who is the doer of the action here? Rahul, because he hits the ball. So here Rahul becomes a subject, right? Now, a subject can be single worded as I give you the example, Rahul hits the ball. But it's not necessary that the subject should always have a single word. Sometimes a subject may have a group of words which we call as phrase. So there the group of words will not give you a complete sense or it will not have a finite verb in it. Okay? For example, if I say to cut trees is bad for the environment. To cut trees is bad for the environment. Can you see any person here who's doing the work or who's doing the action here? No. We can't see any person who's doing the action, right? But we can see the verb. Which is the verb? Is the verb. Now, what is bad for the environment? What is bad for the environment? To cut trees is bad for the environment. So, when you ask question what, you are getting an answer. What is the answer? To cut trees. So, in simple, you can say when you ask question what on the verb in a sentence, the answer you are getting becomes a subject. Clear? So here in this sentence, to cut trees becomes a subject. Are you all clear? Now if I say, getting up early morning is a good practice. Getting up early morning is a good practice. How can you pick out the subject here? Try to ask a question on is the verb. What is a good practice? What is the answer you're getting? Getting up early is a good practice. So, getting up early becomes a subject here. The subject usually comes in the beginning of a sentence. For example, as we said, Rahul hits the ball. So, Rahul is the subject and it is placed in the beginning of the sentence. But it's not always that the subject will be the first word in a sentence. It may come at the end of the sentence also. For example, at the top of the hill stays a monk. At the top of the hill stays a monk. Now concentrate on the verb stays. Who's staying? The monk is staying. Okay, so who can be the subject here? The monk. But the monk is not placed in the beginning, but it comes at the end of the sentence. Still, it becomes the subject. Are you getting the idea clear, children? So, a subject can be a single word. A subject can be a group of words. Or a subject can be hidden some places. For example, if I say, come, will you take this as a sentence? Yes, it is a sentence. Come is a verb. But whom you're calling? You're calling the opponent, you. You come. But the word you is not written or it's not shown. But it is understood that the subject should be you. So even it has only one word, it acts as a sentence. So in some places the subject may not be shown, but it is understood that you is the subject there. Are you all clear? So a subject can be a single word, a subject can be a group of words, or sometimes a subject cannot be seen or hidden. Right? Now, let's move on to predicate. What is a predicate? A predicate includes a verb, an object, or a complement. A verb, we all know, the action word or the word which shows you the tense. Now, what is an object? An object is the word which receives the action. For example, Rahul hits the ball. What is the action here? Hitting. And which word receives the action? The ball. So here Rahul is the subject, hits is the verb, and the ball becomes the object. Now let me give you one more sentence. My mother gifted me a watch. My mother gifted me a watch. Who gifted me a watch? My mother gifted me a watch. So my mother becomes the subject here because she gifted, right? Now ask a question what on the verb. What is the verb? Gifted. What did my mother gift? My mother gifted me a watch. So the answer of the question what becomes the object. So in a sentence, if you want to pick out the object, you ask the question what, and the answer you are getting becomes the object. So here the watch becomes the object. Now let's repeat the sentence. My mother gifted me a watch. Now ask the question, whom did the mother gift? Me. So you are getting one more object, right? So you can decide that the answer for the question what becomes the direct object and the answer for the question whom becomes the indirect object. So in this sentence, a watch becomes the direct object, me becomes the indirect object. Let me give you one more sentence. I sent her a greeting card. I sent her a greeting card. Who's sending? I'm sending. So I becomes the subject. Sent becomes the verb. So what did I send? A greeting card. So the answer for the question what here is a greeting card. So that becomes the direct object. Now, whom did I send? Her. So her becomes the indirect object. Are you all clear with the direct and indirect object, children? Fine. Now, see again, when a verb needs an object to get the sense completed, the verb becomes transitive verb. When in a sentence the verb needs an object to get the meaning, to get the sense completed, it becomes a transitive verb. In some sentences, the verb may not need an object to get its sense completed. In such cases, the verb is said to be intransitive. But in the place of an object, sometimes a verb may need some other word or a group of words, which is known as a complement. For example, I am a teacher. Here, I is the subject, am is the verb, a teacher becomes a complement. Are you getting the idea clear, children? Now, I'll give you some sentences to check how you have understood this topic. Right? Number 1. Plucking of flowers is prohibited. Plucking of flowers is prohibited. Number 2. We are playing in the garden. Number 3. Once upon a time, there lived a king. Once upon a time, there lived a king. Number 4. Jack and Jill went up the hill. Jack and Jill went up the hill. Number 5. To collect stamps is my hobby. To collect stamps is my hobby. Got the questions? Shall we discuss the answer now? The first sentence is plucking of flowers is prohibited. What is prohibited? Plucking of flowers. So the subject here is plucking of flowers. Number 2. We are playing in the garden. Who? We. So we here is the subject. Number 3. Once upon a time, there lived a king. Who lived? A king lived. Here, the subject is not in the beginning of the sentence. It is given at the end. So, who is living? The king. So, the king becomes the subject. Number 4. Jack and Jill went up the hill. Who went up the hill? Jack and Jill. Here again, it's not the single word. Both Jack and Jill becomes the subject. Number 5. To collect stamps is my hobby. What is your hobby? To collect stamps. So, to collect stamps becomes the subject here. I hope you're all clear with this, children. Aren't you? So, let's conclude this session here, and in the next session we will talk more about the sentences. Till then, stay safe, take care, God bless you all.